It's my favorite limited series of all time, from one of my favorite writers of all time, with one of my favorite comic artists of all time. But I swear I won't fanboy all over this. I've broken that promise before. I'm the Archivist, and this is Binging on Comics.
Ladies and gentlemen, truth is now acceptable. Fame is now injectable. Process the progress. This core is critical.
Planetary is pretty simple. It follows a three-man field team of the Planetary Company: Elijah Snow, Chiquita Wagner, and the drummer. Each hold their own unique powers. These three are the ones that go out and find the unseen history of the world. It sounds simple enough, and the first few issues show them doing just that, learning about a bomb-created monster left to rot in a 5-mile-deep hole, Island Zero, which holds some famous giant monster archetypes like a moth and a lizard thing, but then it grows into a struggle against those that want to keep the mysteries of the world just as mysteries. The Four, an evil analogy of the Fantastic Four. Each issue is written like a one-shot, showing a different adventure while also adding elements to the overall mythos without shrinking the overarching story that goes along with it. In 1997, Warren Ellis pitched an idea to Wildstorm, before it got bought by DC. He'd write, and since he'd already had hits as a writer, with things like DV8, Stormwatch, or the literary monster that was Transmetropolitan. Seriously, if I need to explain who Warren Ellis is, I'll leave that to the documentary, Warren Ellis, Captured Ghosts. You can watch it on YouTube now. Though, even if you don't care about the writer, go out and pick up one of his comics, any of his comics, and his prose. Oh man, his prose works have been... The artist is John Cassidy, probably most famous for his works with Joss Whedon on Astonishing X-Men, or Captain America with Johnny Reber. Or perhaps if you are hardened to the indie scene, Je suis Legion, written by Fabian Nuri. He's one of the few rock star artists that really deserve the accolades that he has. In fact, here's just an analysis of the preview at the end of Gen 13 number 33 and issue 6 of C23. Both series I definitely will be visiting later on. They're only 8 pages. It has a solid introduction into the world. An aging general goes to a secure secret bunker that no one's supposed to know about. As the door opens, 3 people are just sitting there bumming on his couch, waiting for him. Chiquita, a stunningly strong and spry gal, neutralizes 2 bodyguards and then brings up the reason for their visit. They want to know about David Payne. The general, visibly shaken, recounts the tale of a brilliant young scientist trying to build a quantum computer bomb thing. In 1962, they tested the quantum bomb, but the general's wife goes to look for David, strongly hinting at an affair. Payne, seeing her, races to the bomb site to save her, but the bomb detonates before they could escape. Payne pushes the woman to safety, but he himself is caught in this rainbow blast. David transforms into an abomination. He was then placed in a 5-mile-deep pit where he would die in 1983. And that's without food or water. 6 months later, the general's wife has a daughter that he has never seen. For only 8 pages, it has more in it than any number 1 has now. Why is this veritable issue 0 worthy of being used as an example of the series as a whole? Well, let's take a deeper look. Obviously, it's a Bruce Banner the Hulk retelling. The quantum computer bomb mutates David in a more contemporarily believable sense than a gamma bomb. In 1962's time frame, it also marks the debut of the Hulk, and 1983 was the first year that had a big storyline where Bruce Banner was in control of the Hulk. Basically, it also makes a point to show that Planetary as a title won't just work within the Wildstorm universe, but will explore the whole of the superhero genre, including Marvel and DC and even more. Not to mention, we get perfect explanation of what Planetary does and everything in it. I realize this may sound like it's going to be a thinking read, but that's not really true. Most of the subtext is just subtext. You don't need to know the Hulk intel for this to be entertaining, but it makes you smirk to yourself when you catch these snippets of Easter eggs because they aren't directly pointed out to you. But even those that are worried about it, issue 3 is just a heavy nod to Chinese action flicks. You get the team of Planetary going to China to check out a vengeful ghost detective that leads into fast-paced flowing action scenes and a decent one-shot story. But if you want something that's more in between, really referential without being overly analytically so, then there's issue 7, where the team goes to 90s Vertigo London. Well, it's modern London, but it's just oozing with the feel, look, and just everything that was Vertigo. Just look at this cover! This is the best period cover that Planetary has done, probably because it reminds me of every Vertigo comic cover ever. More than just the covers, the interiors are nearest to artistically perfect as any comic can be. I know that's a bold statement, and I can hear Alex Ross fanboys loading up, but it's true. The art is amazing, with John Cassidy doing his own inking, as usual, but Laura Dupay, or Laura Martin as of 2001, adds an infinite umph to the story with her colors. Just look at each of these covers and you'll see how great the presentation is. Each issue is a timeless rendition of superhero comics, while universally taking on a narrative that by all accounts could just be in another book like The Authority or Stormwatch, and still be pretty damn good. So, I already know I have at least one message of someone who can't get over that I said that there's something better than Alex Ross. What I meant by that isn't that the artwork itself is on par with the high art that Alex Ross and his watercolors still bring to the world of comics, but when it comes to how the colors take hold of the art and marry them with the story, it just works so beautifully. So the characters of this piece are pretty easy to get behind. There's Jaquita Wagner. She starts as a de facto leader of Planetary's field team, but even after the big reveal a few issues in, she still takes on the role of point man, or point woman due to her heavy hitter mentality. She's a powerhouse with super strength, speed, and some unidentified invulnerability due to her father being a century baby. One of the people in the Wildstorm universe born January 1st, 1900, with special powers. Her major motivation for being in Planetary is actually kind of fun and simple. She does it to escape boredom, and with powers like that, wouldn't you? Then there's the drummer, a mutant with the ability to detect, manipulate, and absorb information, without any real limits to it, even being able to detect magic as information. He was brought into Planetary around 15 when he was freed from a project being run by the Four. Unlike Jaquita and Elijah Snow, the drummer is a very reserved member of the team, preferring to stay out of direct conflict, especially since he witnesses the death of Ambrose Chase, the field leader before Elijah Snow came back. That brings me to the most prominent member of the Planetary team, Elijah Snow. Elijah Snow is introduced in the first issue, with Jaquita inviting him to the team, but we learn slowly and surely that he is actually the mysterious fourth man, set in a war between Planetary and the Four, but had his memory erased so that the members of Planetary could live. His power is pretty simple as well, heat subtraction, which is kind of clever as any room he walks into gets colder, though it can be devastating when he's using it with intent. But his abilities don't stop there. He was trained by Sherlock Holmes himself, is a top-tier spy, and basically just a freaking epic character. Which leads me to the antagonists, the Four. Dr. Randall Dowling, Kim Suskin, William Leather, and Jacob Green were all members of a secret 1961 attempt to land on the moon. That goes about as well as you'd think, and from what's assumed to be an event dealing with the multiverse snowflake, as it's called, it's prevalent within the series, imbues them with tremendous powers. As a group, they act behind the scenes to manipulate humanity and hide the fantastic history the Planetary keeps uncovering. As brought up, the Four Voyagers, as they're sometimes called, are based on the Marvel Comics' first family, the Fantastic Four, though with some interesting quirks to their powers. Dr. Dowling is a clear-cut Reed Richards, though instead of having a physical, stretching, malleable power, Dowling has the mental ability to stretch his mind out and lay eggs in the mind of others close to him. Siskin is the Invisible Woman with powers to match, though she needs a special pair of goggles to see when she's invisible. Jacob Green is a very obvious Thing counterpart, looking monstrous, though we see that his skin doesn't seem to be flexible, so you get to see blood or lava or just something anytime he does anything really heavy. That leaves William Leather as the Human Torch doppelganger, though his power is more general than that just of fire, with flight and super speed being the most prevalent. Of course, there's a lot of other characters brought up. The series is an adventure comic through and through, with characters being met regularly from all corners of the comic universe, ranging from the Golden Age heroes like Doc Savage or Tarzan to the more contemporary icons like Superman or Batman.
Let go. And if the heaven ain't got a vacancy, then we just